Hello, thank you all for coming out. This is CALEXIT Con 7.0, filmed in Vanguard, as it always is. We're going to be doing this conference as a review of an earlier conference last week, the first one in 3 years from when the CALEXIT movement really got started. We split into different groups, and for the first time ever, we were allowed to have a meeting where we publicly acknowledged each other. It's called the Unity Conference. You can find the playlist here. And we will be talking with the people who were there, the people who watched it on video, and finding out how the movement itself feels about unity right at this point in our journey. But first, I want to get you, you got to see this. And just watch. I'm not going to say what it is, and we're going to play a game, see if you get it.
I'm just, you know the Electoral College exceedingly well. Best case scenario for us, what states are in play, and do you fear if Sanders is our nominee, we're kind of down to a no margin for error race?
Okay, David, so let's Sanders our nominee. I'm going to vote for him, all right? And he does, and Speaker holds on the House. Of course, we don't pick up the Senate. 18% of the United States elects 52%. That's our urban strategist. I have to remind them of that. You know what's going to change? Nothing. Bernie Sanders president, Mitch McConnell's majority leader, the Republican control of federal courts. Come on, people, we got to have a big election here.
Anybody get what that was about?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go to the playlist from CALEXIT Con 6.0. This is what he was talking about. James Carville, a well-known political strategist who's been in the game for decades, just told you on live television this week, go ahead and elect Elizabeth Warren. Go ahead and get Sanders. Go ahead and pick you know what? Pick AOC. Have AOC win the presidency. Get in there, and guess what's going to happen? Not a goddamn thing. Because of what we have called in the movement over the last 6 months since we started these conferences, the Hannah Miyamoto hypothesis, which says it is not in spite, it is because of the very document itself, the Constitution, that you don't get to have the laws and rights that you want. The Constitution says that small states get 2 senators and that they get electoral college votes. Because of that, as we have said in the CALEXIT movement for years, and as I did a detailed preview last month, these people here, see all this orange? That's voted for Trump. See all this gray? That's the low population area that James Carville was talking about. 35 to 45 states determine the majority of the Senate, determine who gets to be president. Because the Senate controls all appointments for judges, they get to control the Supreme Court and the lower courts, which means they own the Senate system, the presidency system, the judicial system, which means, let's say you have a blue wave and we took over 80% of the House and we got Elizabeth Warren, doesn't mean anything. Nothing that you want to happen will pass. None of the laws that you want will happen. No revolution will occur. I have brought this up for months. I have said, look at the Democratic debates when they first got started, half a year ago. Professional reporters, audience, and politicians would be asked this question, and they'd have this dialogue. What do you do when the Republicans say no in the Senate? And every politician would say, we're going to take over the votes, and we're going to swing them, and I've got the courage of my convictions. Bernie Sanders said, I can go into the Senate and just convince Republicans that they're wrong and I'm right. Cory Booker said, we're just going to win the election and we're going to take over the Senate. We're just going to turn it blue. Nobody in the news questioned them and said, that's dumb and will never happen. They were given a total pass. Your entire Democratic Party establishment will not answer this question, and your entire media establishment won't make sure they give you an actual plausible answer. Here's the reason why. As I explained in this presentation, I did an interview with Professor Richard John Taplin. LA Times, Dean, Annenberg School of Communication, USC, major big time player. And I go, Professor, how come nobody's bringing this up, the Senate, the Electoral College, that no matter what, who you elect and what they do, that nothing's going to happen? He goes, well, it's kind of depressing. I go, yeah, it is, but aren't, these are politicians, and aren't they supposed to have solutions for us? And he goes, and I kept pushing, and you can look up the interview with me and Professor Jonathan Taplin, and at some point he gets a little upset, and he goes, well, Marcus, you can't talk about issues they don't have answers to. They don't have answers to this, so you're not going to hear anybody talk about this right here. That's why I played you the clip of James Carville. That's why I want to take the moment after we just had the Unity Conference to point something out to you. It doesn't matter who wins the presidency. You will get nothing that you want. You are attached to a government that will not let you have the laws that you want. And you will begin to have more of your rights taken away because the court systems are turning conservative. Remember, as I've said before, the Supreme Court took a California case to overturn 5 decades of precedent. Other lawyers looked at him and said, what was that based upon? It looks like you just said, because we feel like it. So they're already doing this, and the Supreme Court legally can do that, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's already happening. Your politicians are not informing you. Your think tanks are not talking about it. One professor in a place with the best universities in the world had the courage to talk about it. None of the rest of them will. And it's just us here in the crazy CALEXIT movement going, you don't get any laws you want, no matter who you elect. The election matters not at all. Go ahead and vote for House term elections. Go ahead and turn those remaining conservative districts here in California blue. It means nothing. That's not how the Constitution works. The Constitution has baked in power for small states. At one point, it was to protect them with rights, and now it is tyranny by the minority.
Yeah.
By the way, not going to change till the year 2050. I understand everybody's like, oh, we'll get the next election and people will see the error of their ways. Based on what? That these people still largely think conservative and still largely have voted the way? Yeah, I heard about the blue wave. They were talking about how they switched an election in Virginia. It was already purple. You didn't turn the tide in the center of America. And according to the United States Census and demographer Norman Orstein, this place in gray will only get more white, more rural, more old, more male, more Fox News loving from now until 20 years into the future. So, they're never going to change their mind. They're only going to become more arch conservative. You could have saw this when Obama was president and you wondered, why are these Tea Party people so extreme? Where'd they come from? Here. Oh, they're a fluke. Tea Party will go away. And then they went more hardcore and elected him. It's not a fluke, people. This is a trend. It's called the Big Sort. It goes back to the early thousands. Liberals are leaving areas that are conservative. Conservatives are staying in conservative area, or their other conservatives are moving to those areas. We've had one of the largest migrations of the American population since World War II over the last decade because of the Big Sort. And the thing that scares demographers is that this is unlike any mass migration ever in American history. It's all about politics. They're leaving because they don't like people who don't think like them. I wish I could say it's just on the right. It's just as much on the left. So, demographics are saying this picture of America will not change for 24 till 2045. By the way, that's when NASA says there's going to be a colony in outer space. I'm not joking. So when because I've talked to professors and they're like, we just got to wait a little bit more. And I go, no, we have to wait 20 more years by the time we'll have interstellar travel according to the best estimates of NASA. That's when you're talking about I get to live in a future where I don't have to deal with white supremacy. I don't want to wait 20 years. I talked to another Caucasian professor from the East Coast and he goes, oh, just the next election. And I go, Professor, I lived in California in the 90s. I got to tell you, I have African-American friends. They don't want to live through 2 more years of the 90s. Now, Latinos don't want to do that either. Professor, isn't it weird that brown-skinned minority and LGBTQ people are terrified of even living another year? And you're saying wait 4, wait 10, wait 15, wait 20, wait 25, wait 30? That's 1 to 2 generations of more brown-skinned, dark-skinned men shot in the streets with nobody asking questions. More people with citizenship rounded up because of the way they looked, and then the federal authorities go, whoops, I didn't realize you were a citizen. Did you almost die from malnutrition? My bad, can't sue me. And the interesting thing is, I told that Caucasian professor, when I talk to minorities, they don't want to do that. They don't want to wait 10 years, 4 years, 15 years. They want to be safe now. What am I supposed to tell them, Professor? And that professor had nothing to say. So, I don't care who gets elected. The Senate proved to you the system doesn't work.
Yep.
You should have saw it with the Tea Party. You should have saw it when they collapsed the budget twice for politics. You should have saw it when the International Monetary Fund criticized both the Democrats and the Republicans for being incompetent in running a government. And that was before anybody talked about Trump. Now we have Trump. Now he won by the Senate. He's getting off. There is no better example. It is now a matter of, do you want to have a functional democracy? Yes or no? Then you must leave. Period. Matter of survival. That's why we're going to be pushing now as our new slogan, matter of survival. It's a matter of survival. It's not a choice, it's not an option. We're doing that now since the Senate. By the way, I got to point out that activity on the Independent California website is mysteriously dramatically up since the Senate did that. Also, activity on the Yes California Facebook page is 1,200% up since the Senate did that. What an incredible coincidence. I wonder what that means. We had the Unity Conference. We are looking at a joint logo. People are moving towards the red star, white background, maybe with poppy in it. We are looking at having all the organizations issue joint statements. We're not at a combined messaging yet, but we're trying to move everybody saying, here's something we agree together as one. We're also working on having all the organizations post events from every org to every other org's calendar. So there's 4 orgs. Anyone has this event, it's posted automatically in all 3. Plus, the leadership of those 4 will encourage all their members, not demand, but encourage to go to every other event by every other org. So every other org is independent, retains their fiefdom and total control, but we begin to advertise and encourage joint movement activity. We're working on that. I have very positive aspirations for that. Additionally, we are looking at the name Independent California Movement. Seems to be a title a lot of people are not opposed to, kind of like as a sort of umbrella term. You can keep using whatever terms you want. We're just talking about a move to unity. Hey, we can all, I want to call us the puppy dog team. Okay. And occasionally call it the Independent California Movement, or you remember. Okay. Hey, I like my own logo. Okay. And occasionally you can hold up the white banner with the red star with the poppy in the center of it. End of the world? No. And occasionally you can tell other people about other events by other groups. And we are going to start pointing out the Hana Miyamoto hypothesis the Constitution bakes in white supremacy and discrimination against your laws. And we're going to start using the Daniel Costa calculus, which is that America is broken and it cannot be fixed. You saw the best example you've seen in your life last week, this week, in the Senate. If that isn't good enough to get somebody to at least consider the idea that we need to leave, there isn't a better example. Break off conversation with that person because you're never going to convince them. That is the best example there. They have some other thing they're holding on to. They're afraid the American military will invade. We can't fund things, fine. But if they're looking for an excuse on why we need to do it, the Senate was it. Period. End of story. No debate. You have your best example. We have 9 months. And this was Matt Owens' idea. This is what we're going to call the Matt Owens message. We are pregnant with opportunities right now. You know why? What happens in 9 months? What happens in 9 months?
Trump gets reelected.
What happens in 9 months? Independence Day for California. Because Trump will be elected and we're going to we ain't going to handle it well. So this movement has 9 months to get ready for our Independence Day, which will be November 3rd, 2020. Clear sight. Additionally, in 3 weeks, we need to be ready to welcome a lot of angry people who are upset at the establishment and feel they weren't treated fair by the American political system. Yes, the thing going on in Iowa is by the American Democratic Party. It's not by the California Democratic Party. I want to keep that clear. But as Matt Owens pointed out to me, where do you think the American Democratic Party is going to point their anchor? At the place that most supported Bernie Sanders. What state in all of America is going to have the utmost, by millions and millions, Bernie Sanders supporters anywhere in all of America? Where do you think that might be? Here. And so you're going to have a lot of American Democrats upset at these California Bernie people. And you're going to have a lot of California Bernie people upset at the American Democratic Party. And you're going to have a movement saying, we told you. You want to be a Democrat? Great. Be a California Democrat. You want to work Pelosi shift? Great. Don't work with that guy Perez way out there in the middle of nowhere. Those people are not our people. You need to focus here. And so we need to be ready to welcome Bernie in 3 weeks, and we need to be ready for Independence Day in 9 months, and we need to push the unity message. Because this is not going away for 30 years. It is a matter of survival now. I'll leave it there. Thank you.